Hey class, this is Christina again. Here's my audience. Thank you, thank you. So how many athletes do you know that are competitive? Pretty much all of them, right? Yeah. How many of those athletes do intense training and then push themselves just to be that much better than everyone else? Pretty much all of them as well, right? Well, my 13-year-old cousin was one of those athletes. As an advanced swimmer, she pushed herself hard during those twice daily, year-round swim practices. On June 20th, she did just that, and she pushed herself so hard that she died from it. The autopsy reported saying that it was an accidental drowning. But how does an advanced swimmer of 7 years experience die from accidental drowning? A hypoxic blackout are the silent killers of all swimmers, from beginners to advanced, even young and old. Now, with 372,000 drowning deaths in the world annually, and 10 people every day in the United States die from drowning, it's very likely that you know someone who has passed away from drowning. I'd like to inform you on the overlooked crisis of drowning deaths in children under 14, and then I'd like to discuss the ways that we can all prevent so many unnecessary deaths and prevent swimmers from having hypoxic blackouts, which can lead to drownings. First, I'd like to give you a little background on the details of drownings in the United States and why this is a crisis. As I mentioned before, 10 people in the United States die daily from drowning. 20% of those deaths are children under 14, like my cousin. That's 730 children funerals a year. According to the Center for Disease and Control and Prevention, unintentional drowning is the second leading cause of unintentional deaths in youth of ages under 14. It's even the third leading cause of unintentional deaths from 15-year-olds to 25-year-olds. With these statistics, you'd think it would attract more attention because it happens so often. Problem is, most people turn a blind eye to drowning because it's overlooked. It's not considered a public safety hazard. It's not considered a public safety hazard because it's generally off the radar. Not most people go into the hospital because of it. If you don't interfere with the drowning that's happening, they typically die. Hence why it happens so much. You can't ask why. Also, there's no government department that oversees swimming accidents. For instance, we've got the Coast Guard that oversees boating safety. We've got traffic incidents monitored by the National Transportation Safety Board. But then also, there's nothing to look at or research the near 4,000 deaths a year due to drowning. So what does hypoxic blackout have to do with these yearly drownings? Well, let me explain. Hypoxic blackout is a severe deprivation of oxygen to the body. It dramatically affects the brain function, which leads to unconsciousness. For instance, we all have the urge to hold our breath. We all have the urge to breathe when our CO2 levels get high. Yeah? Breathe. All right. So if you're underwater and you're focused on a goal, whether it's diving, fishing, or just recreational swimming, your brain overlooks its urge to let in air naturally because you're in the water. Whenever your brain overlooks this, you lose oxygen. Your CO2 levels become deadly. You end up losing consciousness, and then you drown. This can occur in swimmers, whether you're a beginner or advanced. And this can also occur Whether you are training for an event or if you're doing a recreational, let's see who can hold their breath the longest game in a public swimming pool, in an open water such as a beach or an ocean, and then it also can even happen in your own backyard. Hypoxic blackouts are called the silent killers because, according to Allison Oskinsky, she is a water safety expert and the president of Aqua Consulting Services, you can't tell that a swimmer goes unconscious until it's too late. That's why they're considered silent, because there's no signs of drowning. That's what happened to my cousin. There are ways to prevent hypoxic blackouts and other events that lead to drowning. For instance, 88% of children who drown are under some type of supervision. So if we could better that supervision and actually watch them instead of playing on our phones or carrying on a conversation, making eye contact with the person next to us and actually watching the children in the water, this could prevent more drownings. In the movies, they portray drowning as arms flailing, moving around, and then also yelling for help. Well, that's not actually how drowning happens. One of the first steps that we can do for drowning prevention is to recognize the actual signs of drowning. Keep in mind, again, this doesn't happen with hypoxic blackout, excuse me. See, the signs to look for is most likely the person will be upright, and then also their hands will be down, desperately pushing themselves up towards the top of the water. The next sign you'll see is their head will be tilted back and their mouth will be slightly open, trying to gasp for air. Also, the next step to preventing drowning is to always have a lifeguard on duty. If the lifeguard isn't available, have other proper supervision. This could include a parent, a relative, somebody that actually knows how to swim. The third way to prevent drowning deaths is to use the buddy system. Now, this only actually works if you swim with somebody who has the same skill level as you. For instance, if a beginner swimmer was trying to keep up with an advanced swimmer, buddy system wouldn't really work. The buddy system is good because it holds each other accountable for the other person. Even if you have a lifeguard on duty or if you have other proper supervision like an adult, having the buddy system is still good because you'll have more than one person accountable for the other. The more adults there are, the less they actually supervise. If there's less adults, they'll supervise a little bit better. With the buddy system, you've got one person watching out for the other person. That way somebody can't get overlooked. The fourth way to prevent drowning deaths is to ensure that everybody is properly educated on what to do in case they actually do see somebody drowning. You can find the nearest CPR and first aid classes at Red Cross or the American Heart Association websites. And then also knowing where the first aid kits or any type of medical help at a public location, whether it's public pool or open water sources, is helpful as well. If somebody is drowning and their heart stops, the quicker you get it back, the more likely they have the chance to survive. So based on all the information I've given, you can now understand you can now see that this has been overlooked for some time. I've shown you the numbers in regards to accidental deaths that are due to drowning. I've explained how hypoxic blackouts contribute to these numbers. And I've also explained how to spot signs of drowning and what to do to prevent as many drownings as possible. Getting a phone call on a Monday afternoon, finding out that your young cousin that you just got close to is drowned is not what anyone needs to experience. What if it had been you attending that funeral? There's no tragedy in life like death of a child. Things never get back to the way they were. Dwight Eisenhower, our 34th president, said that. He knew exactly what he meant when he did say it. So help me prevent the next 730 children's funerals by further educating yourself and others on how to drown how to prevent drowning. And thank you. Let me show my audience. Please tell me you didn't stop. Okay, cool. See, my audience is still there and my little visual aid. Appreciate it.